Hello, and welcome to the Theatre of Arts virtual open house. It's becoming a bit of a thing now since COVID. I hope you're all staying safe and well wherever you are in the world. We are the Theatre of Arts. We are one of the oldest theatre schools, in fact, the oldest school in Los Angeles. We've been going since the 1920s. We were formed then because of the silent era of movies. And people then had to learn how to talk and walk at the same time, and that's why it was set up. And you can see some of the old stars that we had there. We've got some great people like James Dean. He was around when people could talk. Ben Bard, and of course one of the great teachers of all time from Russia, Michael Chekhov, who used to be working here at the Theatre of Arts. In fact, he had my job many years ago. Despite the fact that we are the oldest theatre school here on the West Coast, we really are very passionate about being a very modern theatre school. We're about training actors to work in today's environment, to work in, obviously COVID's sent us a bit of a spanner in the works, but we're training people to work in the film industry and the entertainment industry as of right now, which is why we have courses like you can see. We have the usual courses that you'd expect at a theatre school, acting 1 to acting 4. We've got voice training, we've got movement technique, on camera. We're very focused on camera, stage combat and fighting, where we're going to be meeting one of the guys later on who teaches that, script analysis. We also introduced motion capture. We're the only theatre school in North America that teaches motion capture. We're going to discuss later on what that's all about, but that really is a way of getting work in this industry. And stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is a way of getting seen like no other medium in this town, in Hollywood. If you do stand-up comedy, you will get you will have opportunities, and many of our friends have done very well, our alumni here. And of course, we like to talk about influential cinema. We're doing TV as well. We discussed that a lot, and we have industry preparation. We want our students to be ready when they get outside into the entertainment world. So we do our best to, our faculty is a working faculty, as in they all work within the entertainment industry. They're either actors, they're directors. Our motion capture teacher actually works in motion capture. He's also an expert in combat, and he works in that area. I myself am a stand-up comedian, and I actually, in times when we can actually go outside our houses, I tour the country doing stand-up comedy. And now we're going to show a sizzle reel so that we can actually just show enough of me talking, and we can show a little bit about what we do here. There you go, you've got a chance to see the facilities that we can't currently get into because of COVID, but they are there when we get back into bricks and mortar. I think there's something I should flag up there that came across was the industry spotlights. You might have seen 1 or 2 famous people there, like Ray Seahorn from Better Call Saul. We had Alexis Woodall, who is the president of Ryan Murphy Productions. And we also had Blanca Lister, who has the same position at another amazing film company, if I can remember the name of it, but they made the Jim Henson Company. But what my point is that because of where we are in Hollywood, We can bring people in like that, and we do on a regular basis. We can bring in casting directors, we can bring in agents, we can bring in famous actors and famous producers and directors because we're in Hollywood. Obviously, we're all at home now, but I have to say, the last term, we were forced online, and we're going to be online probably, I would have thought, through the fall. We would love to get in person, but I think we're going to be online. It has worked very well with the classes. And what's also been good is that we have had people from the industry who, in an industry that has been predominantly closed, they're saying, okay, I'm at home, what can I do? What can I help? So we've had top agents, top casting directors, we've had actors from around the world that have come in and spoken to our students. So we've used our time well. I now want to introduce you to somebody. Oh, by the way, if you want to look any of this up, go onto our website, toa.edu, toa.edu. And right now we're enrolling for the fall term, which is going to run from September the 1st. So we really would like people to reply early so that we can get you all the things that you would need to start with on September the 1st. But you could see in there that we do something called motion capture, which I think is groundbreaking for a theatre school to do. So I want to introduce you to the person who is our instructor here in virtual reality and motion capture and combat, and that is Henry Layton. So hopefully Henry's there.
Hello, hey, how's it going?
Yes,
yeah, good, thank you. Yes, my name is Henry Layton. Before I get started, I believe Reese has a reel that we can show from the motion capture class. That's great. Thank you so much, Reese. Yes, my name is Henry Layton. I teach stage combat and motion capture at Theater of Arts in Hollywood. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been doing motion capture internationally for about 19 years now. I started in Sweden with Universal Studios doing Chronicles of Riddick, the video game and the film. And if you can believe it or not, I was several people in that game, but mainly I was Riddick. I was actually Vin Diesel in all those video games. That's the beautiful thing about motion capture, though. You can play anything, anyone, any creature you want to. And then once I started there, I got lucky enough, I moved to New York with the motion capture work, which is now a studio called Rockstar Video Games. We started doing Saints Row, the video game franchise, with them, and The Punisher. And then I came out to LA with the work for motion capture at a couple studios here. Worked with Sony and Disney and a couple other studios out here. Especially in Santa Monica and also down in San Diego. But one of the things I got to work on was a TV show called Falling Skies. That was a show created by Steven Spielberg. And so I got to play Red Eye and all the alien creatures in that TV show. That was amazing. And yeah, as you can see in the video here, that's how much my director likes me. He's just knocking me to the ground right there. That's out here in LA. And then what we have here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about motion capture. So if we could, let's talk about the two types. There's optical motion capture and telemetry motion capture. And then there's in-game and cutscenes. So what you're seeing right here in this video is cutscenes. So if you're playing a video game, that's called in-game. If you have to turn left or turn right or walk with a weapon or run. But when you're playing a video game and you pass a level, it cuts to an acting scene, which is called the cutscene. And that's where you get more liberties as an actor to make physical acting choices. It's not just so technical to walk straight or turn left or turn right, those kind of deals. But you actually you get to be creative with all of your acting and movement training. And then once you have those two things figured out, then we go to what's called optical and telemetry motion capture. Now in the video before, you saw when you're surrounded by all those cameras in the studio, usually about 200 cameras, that's optical motion capture. Now, what we're seeing right here, this is telemetry motion capture, and that's what we do at Theater of Arts. You don't need cameras for that because all of the technology is built into the suit. And once that technology is built into the suit, you are a walking studio. We could do this inside, we could do it outside, we can do it underwater, which I'll touch on a little bit later. So with that, Reese, if we could jump to the next part, I'd like to talk about cleaning up the data. We have a gentleman named David Maddy. We call him Big Dave, mainly because he's 6'11", 375 pounds. But you can see him right here. If you look on the right of your screen, you'll see a yellow skeleton, a connect the dot skeleton. That's our raw data. Then we put a marshmallow skeleton over top of that so that we can see how the body's actually moving. Now, because we have over 500 to 600 different characters for us to choose from, any superhero you want, any creature, any person, we can actually put you into that like you're seeing right here. This is called TOA Maddy. This is the robot that we have for our final class. And there's David Maddy himself. He cleans up that data because if you make an incorrect movement or motion, we can go back and post and correct all of that. And you can see the skeleton within that character. And right now, Reese, if you could pause that for a moment. Once we put all those things together, once you get all of your acting training, your movement training, your voice training, then we have a final product that we have here. And I'll let you see this and I'll touch on more on that as soon as it's over. Go ahead, Reese, if you don't mind. And action. As you can see, we put right into a video game. If you look at the top left, you see the actor performing in real time, and that character is being displayed in real time. So literally, while you're in the class, we're putting you inside the video game at that moment. And the great thing about this is once you finish the class, and once you leave TOA, you're going to get this footage. And in today's world, and the other instructors will probably touch on this, you're no longer going to the studios to audition. Everything's done online. So right now, everybody wants to audition for motion capture, but they can't do it because they don't know how to do it. Once you leave TOA, you'll be the only actors out there that actually can say, not only should I get this role for the motion capture video game you're producing, but here's evidence I'm already trained and I already know how to do it. That puts you at the top of the list when it comes to other actors trying to compete for that job. So that's the two types of motion capture that we take care of inside the studio. That is optical and telemetry, and then in-game and cutscenes. There's a third type of motion capture that's called PCAP or performance capture. We also have a faculty member that's on our staff named Alex Feldman. He's the hardest working actor in LA. He's going to be on set here after this meeting's over even, just because he's so good at what he does. He was able to get a job in motion capture doing performance capture. And Alex, if you don't mind, could you just touch on that a little bit? Would that be okay?
Sure, Henry. Hi, everybody. Yes, I worked on a video game last year called Call of Duty, and I did a lot of performance capture. And I was very excited to do what you're calling cut-in scenes, because that's where you rely mostly on your performance. But as you see right there in that picture, I have all those little dots on my face and the cameras right there sticking out from my helmet. Performing with all that equipment on is very, very different than just performing on the stage or in front of the camera. In addition to that, Henry, I'm reminded of a scene that I had when I was doing performance capture, where it was more or less a combat scene where there are stunts that I'm performing with another actor, hand-to-hand combat. And suddenly in the studio, the voice comes on, which is the director's voice, telling me that I should take 3 steps backwards and 3 steps to my left, to turn away from the person that I'm interacting with, and repeat all those motions, repeat the dialogue, and repeat the actions. And that's where I was very, very grateful to be able to rely on my acting training and the imagination that is evoked through acting training.
As well as your voice training, correct?
Absolutely, definitely voice training. But a vast majority of the stuff I did on the video game was voiceover. And then some was motion capture.
That's
and
right.
The combination of all of those is what brings the character to life. And there are very few actors I know who are somewhat versed in stunts, and there are very few stunt performers that I know who are well versed as actors. And if you have an understanding of both, I believe there is a need for you in the industry.
Absolutely. And thank you, Alex. You're exactly right. You're a huge commodity to every studio. Instead of them having to hire 3 people, they can just hire you to take care of all of that. And if you get hired for that, and that's the whole point, you get hired for that job, you're brought back the next day and the next day. You don't want to get a job just once. We want job after job after job. And with all that training that makes you so versatile, you're a gold mine to these directors and these producers. And so getting back to what I was saying earlier about the telemetry motion capture that we're teaching at Theater of Arts, I talked about you could do it indoors, outdoors, and underwater. Here's the great thing that I'm so excited about. There's a movie called Avatar that most of you have probably already seen, that's directed and created by James Cameron. Well, right now he's in LA and in New Zealand filming Avatar 2, 3, and 4 at the same time. Luckily, New Zealand has their act together, and they're able to get back in the studios. LA now is able to get back in the studios slowly but surely and safely. But The whole point of that is James Cameron had to figure out a way to do motion capture underwater, and it took him 10 years to figure it out. But what he did finally figure it out is if he got rid of all those cameras from optical motion capture, and he just put on the suits and used that technology and software, he could do the motion capture underwater. The great thing about this is the exact same suits, the exact same software, the exact same technology and techniques that we're using at Theater of Arts here in Hollywood. So nobody else is getting that training. Unless you get on set and those actors get cast, they had to get extra training that costs extra money for these studios. They don't have to do that if they have you. So that's a lot to do with what motion capture is, performance capture is. And again, thank you, Alex. So what I'm going to tell you now is a little bit about something even newer. It's called virtual reality. And I have to thank David Conolly, David Law, for this, that he has, one, been very supportive, and he had the vision to see what was coming once we had to go into this quarantine, and that we couldn't do plays in Lifetime. We couldn't get on the sets. We couldn't get into the studios. So everything had to be done from home. And you've probably seen something like Zoom plays. Everybody does Zoom plays, and they call it a virtual play. And it's true, it is. Like, just like this meeting is virtual, this presentation is virtual. But there's a difference between virtual and virtual reality. For example, when you're playing the video games, you tap into that world with your hands on the controllers. With virtual reality, you put that headset on, and then you step in with your entire body into that world. You have to use your entire body to perform and explore within the virtual reality world. And we have tons of environments, and the environment is the world in which you choose to go into. And it could be a game, but actually what we learned is we still need to do our play for the school. So for the first time ever, this is our world premiere announcement, we're actually doing the first ever virtual reality play live in real time. This has never happened in the history of planet Earth. So we're really excited about it. It's called Papa Tango Sierra Delta. And our great team of marketing with John Wooden and Reese, they've put this together. John really did some great work here. So this is our first introduction of the play that we'll be doing. It goes up September 8th. So you'll be able to just watch the play from the comfort of your home, your living room, your bedroom, wherever. And you don't need a VR headset to watch this play. You'll get to see the VR world. You'll get to see everything our actors are seeing inside that VR world and in real time in their own apartment, which is going to be their stage and their set. So the set will go from real world to the world and the environments, whether it be Mars, whether it be a jungle, whether it be inside an army barracks, anything like that. You'll be able to watch that as well. Yeah, so that's something we're very excited about. And we're implementing VR at the school. We have now multiple headsets that we can use and teach with. And it's going to probably expand throughout the school. At least we've had talks about that, but it's something we're very excited about. Oh yeah, and also it's okay. Don't worry about the VR video. We can show that more later. That's okay. Thank you though, Reese. Yeah, David, I'm going to kick it back to you if that's okay. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. It's been great.
Thank you, Henry. Really appreciate that. I should actually just say that because this VR is a good example of the things that we're having to do. Well, we don't have to, but we're trying to do to try and give everybody the best experience possible during this time. And we've got to thank the CARES Act for that, because we were given a grant, which I believe we'll get again for the fourth semester, where we can only put that money into things that we would do purely because of the pandemic, the situation we're in. And VR to me was, when I realized, I was talking with Henry and John Wooden, we went, this is something we should do and can do. It's very expensive, but that's where the grant has gone. We're also helping the students out as well as much as we can, because we are online. We're trying to make sure that everybody has decent internet, computers, ring lights, so that you can work in the best possible way. Reese, I wonder if you could just bring up the website for 1 second. I just want to show everybody that the website, toa.edu. We're an accredited school, which is very important, which is going to help you out when it comes to financial aid later on. We're accredited by NAST. Oh my word, there's me giving out a degree. And as you can see, you can check all this out on the website as well. Also BPPE, if I can say that correctly, just to show that that this legitimizes us as a school, so you know who we are. So all this will be on the website. There's lots of information on the website. The most important thing is, if you want to request info, we've made it very simple. If you want to apply during this period, it's usually $75 to apply. We're going to make it free while we're during COVID. So if you do want to apply, it's not going to cost you any money right now. And we'll run over the checklist of what you need to do for that later on in the question and answer. But I just want to make sure that you all realize that. And we'll talk about the fees later on. which we have reduced while we are having online learning, which we've been forced into, but I've got to say so far has been very, very good. And I do think it's an excellent time to train as an actor. With the industry closed, pretty much, this is a time to train, because when it reopens, and in 2021, all those great shows that we're all watching on Amazon or Netflix or whatever streaming site or TV you have, they haven't been filming for a long time. They're going to have to reboot, and there's going to be work out there. So I think you want to be ready. You want to be trained for that. So I wouldn't, this is not a time to hold back and say, I'll go to train as an actor when it's in person again. I want to go from Henry. I want to introduce another member of faculty who teaches voice and movement here, and is a very distinguished actor herself. It's Roshni Shukla. Roshni, over to you.
All right, thank you. And thank you to Henry and Alex. I think you're beginning to get a sense that at Theater of Arts, we're interested in building well-rounded actors. And a part of being a well-rounded actor includes voice and speech, movement and body. At TOA, you will receive 4 terms of voice, and you will get to experience a wide range of how to explore your voice. Voice is important, and a lot of students, when they come, they ask, why do I need to study voice, or why do I need to study movement as an actor? And as an audience member, believability, genuineness, how we perceive those elements of believability in a performance is actually an auditory cue. It's based on how a person speaks. And there are many avenues to what could be a successful career in acting that are based in voice alone. Something that Henry and Alex sort of touched base on already, which is VR, voiceover work, audiobook narration. These all fall in the world of acting, and could also be other avenues you can explore by being focused on your voice. The first 2 terms of voice are with another faculty member by the name of Nicolette, and she sort of teaches the basics of breath, articulation, sounds as it applies to vowels and consonants, and you get to work with contemporary material with her on that. You also shake some of the habits that may not be serving you vocally, both for stage or for film and television. And by the time you get to Voice 3, which is the class that I teach, you get to get into the athletic nature of speaking, which is related to classical theater and Shakespeare. One of the other questions that is often asked is, why do we still, kind of explore material that is over 400 plus years old? But with Shakespeare and classical theater, you begin to see that these themes and stories that are introduced in those kind of classical stories are still being talked about today in very large movies, such as even Avatar, as Henry had mentioned, or some of those superhero movies that we like watching, like Black Panther, like Thor, or even Star Wars, where the actors from those films have done classical theater, like Tom Hiddleston and Angela Bassett and Oscar Isaac. All of these actors have done classical theater, which is why they're able to make that leap into these very larger than life films. I approach voice in a holistic sense and involve the whole body. So you're on your feet, and it is a very physical process in how you explore voice in Voice 3. You are taught tools on how to warm up and prepare your voice for performance and to handle challenging language. And of course, relating it all back to story and understanding some difficult language and also difficult storylines. But that is voice. And by Voice 4, which is in your 4th term, you get to explore dialects and accents. So you get to add in character work with voice. And then it extends onto classes like Henry's class and Alex's class with acting. That becomes a part of their coursework. So that is voice. I'll move on to movement. In movement, another question that's often asked by students is, why do I need to pay attention to movement as an actor? And as you can see, movement doesn't just stop at the basics of movement. It extends into stage combat and motion capture coursework that you get into in later terms with Henry. But of movement 1 and 2, those 2 first classes in movement are actually based in Suzuki and viewpoints. What you're seeing right now on screen is one of the productions when we were in-house called Eurydice, and myself working with some of the students in their movement. Eurydice is actually a contemporary play based on a classical story written by Sarah Rule. And so this is some of the footage that you're seeing from that production. And so movement, in order to move on to doing some of the fun work like the VR and the motion capture, you need a sense of how the body moves. And that is introduced in movement 1 and 2 with Suzuki and Viewpoints. So what is Suzuki and Viewpoints? Suzuki training comes from Tadashi Suzuki and the Suzuki Company of Toga, based out of Japan. And it's a very practical form of training, and it's based in structure and rigor and the ideas of stillness, which is something that you will come to find very handy when it comes into film and television, the idea of stillness. And are you aware of when you're moving, why you're moving, and how that helps you build a character and what you're doing. It's voice training, it's presence training. When you watch an actor who is your favorite, whether it be, you know, Denzel Washington or something, there's a certain quality about them, and that is a sense of control and stillness, and that is an awareness of both their body and what they're doing. All right, so Suzuki, you'll also get a sense of presence training. It is rigorous, and it does provide a sense of discipline. Then you get something a little bit more abstract paired with Suzuki, which is Viewpoints. And Viewpoints is based on the ideals of dance performance. There is a structure, but it is a little bit more abstract and improvised. And it asks, what else can something be? We often, as actors, find a way and kind of get set in our answer for things. And what Viewpoints allows us to do is explore what else can something be. Both training, Suzuki and Viewpoints, assists in ensemble building. Ensemble building is incredibly important in the theater because everything you do in the theater is community-based. It's a communal process to produce theater, but it's also a communal process to produce film and television. If you think of a core cast on a television show, that is an ensemble. If you think of films where directors often work with the same actors, that is an ensemble. It is a group of people who continually work together, and Suzuki and Viewpoints assists in that ensemble building. So that is movement. You will get Suzuki and Viewpoints both in term 1 and 2 of your time at TOA. And then it again expands into what Henry does with stage combat and motion capture. And that is voice and movement. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Roshni. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Reese, if we could just bring up the website one more time. I want to show whoever's out there that we really do support military vets as well. We have the GI Bill. So if anybody's is leaving the military and they're looking for a new career, we've had big success in this arena. We've had a lot of people come here straight from the military, some with very little acting experience to no acting experience, and believe it or not, they've turned out to be superb actors by the time they've left. So again, it's very easy for you to fill in your information there, and we will support you in that process. Again, go to the website toa.edu and you'll find information about that there. Thank you, Reese, appreciate it. Okay, I want to introduce you to another instructor. We're very lucky to have this guy, especially today, because as Henry said, he's one of the busiest actors out there. And he's actually got to go to the set today because he's in the first TV show to actually relaunch during COVID. I can't tell you what the show is, but it's on CBS. And he's on his way to Magic Mountain to film something this afternoon. So if I can just please bring Alex Feldman and introduce you to the great actor, Alex Feldman, who's going to talk about On Camera.
Hi, my name is Alex Feldman, and I'm one of the on-camera instructors at Theater of Arts. This ends now.
I'm sorry I let you down.
Good afternoon. My name is Louis Allen, and I've been suffering from sleep paralysis for 3 years.
You let anything slip through the cops, your parents are gonna pay.
No, 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 no! ¿Cómo dices? Estoy muy contento de estar aquí.
But the American accent, I'm very happy to be here. But the Russian accent, I'm very happy to be here. I will come. If I understand baseball, maybe I will understand America better.
In on-camera classes, we equip the actors with a knowledge of how to work on the technical elements of on-camera performance, as well as the organic behavior to be captured by the camera. We address how the camera is used on sets and in audition environments, and we try to provide some knowledge for the actors about how to be a good collaborator with the other departments on sets, the responsibility that the actor might have to the on-camera department, to the electrical department, to the wardrobe department, and how to make sure that the performance is collaborative and not just for the actor's benefit. Hi, everybody. Thank you for that, Reese. My name is Alex, and I do teach on-camera performance at Theater of Arts. And as David mentioned earlier on, our school has a very rich tradition in theater, and that is wonderful to build a great foundation for an actor. But we are located in Los Angeles, right in the heart of Los Angeles, and we are surrounded by production of many, many different kinds. And on-camera work tends to become a great focus in our school as well. So we start with on-camera fundamentals early on in your education. In those classes, we introduce actors to all the different terminology used on sets, so that when actors are on a set, they know exactly how to communicate to different departments and they understand what direction is being given to them. Actors are also taught how to work with the camera, meaning how to adjust their performance for different frames, different shots, and different styles. Actors are educated in multi-camera shoots, single camera shoots, and lots of different directors, lots of filmmakers and television directors have their own individual style. And so we try to create actors who will graduate and be able to adapt and work the way that each job requires them to work and be hireable actors. As the on-camera education continues, we help actors create their own content and understand how to work in front and behind the camera. We encourage our actors to get their hands on the equipment so they really understand what the camera does and how to collaborate with the camera rather than be on one side and feel like the camera is not a collaborator to you. And certainly by the time the actors at Theater Arts are graduating, they have a full reel that they can show agents that has been created by them in collaboration with their instructors. They understand how to create their own content and they are ready to work on sets. As Roshni was talking about earlier, a lot of what she's talking about comes into play in on-camera acting. Voice, movement, and lots of other techniques that are taught at Theater of Arts during the 2 years that you will be here. A lot of them culminate in understanding how to work on camera. In a minute, we'll show a scene. Reese will play a scene in which two of our students are performing. It's a pretty basic scene, but the scene is broken up into at least 7 different cuts. And some shots are a little wider, some shots are a little tighter. And as the shot becomes a little tighter, I'll identify it. And I would like for you to pay attention to the stillness that Roshni was talking about. Also, in theater classes, actors are taught about character arcs, meaning how does your character evolve and change throughout the play? Well, in any given scene on camera, the actor is still having to evolve and change, and there is a character arc, but often in the real practical world out there on sets, it's not shot in sequence. It's shot in pieces. You might never be able to do the whole scene all the way through. You might be asked to just isolate moments of the scene and then the editor will put them together. And so understanding what's happening in each individual shot, in each individual frame is paramount to the success of an actor on camera. So Reese, if you can play that scene, I'm just going to label the cuts as they happen, and then we'll talk a little bit about it after we take a look at it.
Sushi.
So you see the scene opens on a 2-shot, meaning 2 actors in it are in a medium frame.
Taco. Sushi.
Taco.
Sushi.
Taco.
Sushi. They're cuts on over the shoulder.
I'm tired of eating sushi. I want tacos.
Close-up shot.
They're fun.
On
they have a lot of flavors. And what I like most about tacos is...
See here an extreme close-up. The communication is very subtle there, very little movement. There's a close-up on Juan.
I like sushi. All right, it's fresh. It looks amazing when it's served. And sushi.
Here's another extreme close-up.
It's perfect.
Actors here rely more on mental actions rather than physical, just thought of the character. Here's another comedic two-shot. And another two-shot. And so each one of those shots was shot independently, shot in an isolated fashion, meaning the on-camera department and the lighting department would set up the shot, and then the actor would be asked to perform within that frame with the full knowledge of what happened before and what happened after. And the performance that an actor creates while they're shooting on the set is then given to the editor, and the editor really tells the story. This is why we cannot stress enough in our education what the responsibility of an actor is to all the different departments in the filmmaking process, from pre-production, during production, and into post-production. Also, as David mentioned, right now, we're all sort of working from home, and the classes that we have right now for on camera are all taking place in this sort of an interface, the way we are communicating right now. And while it may feel a little bit limiting to people, I've discovered that it's a wonderful opportunity for actors to practice this craft. This industry, our industry, has adapted and reacted to the coronavirus pandemic and the lockdown in a way that makes me incredibly proud. We've bounced back in very innovative ways. And as David mentioned, I'm actually part of a show that's currently working under the COVID restrictions. But also, most actors I know, most content creators I know have not stopped working, unlike other industries. And if there's an actor out there who understands how to perform with the limitations of even this Facebook Live or Zoom interaction, and there's an actor out there who understands how to work with the camera and can put together a really strong self-tape for auditions, that is an actor that is very hireable today. For that reason, we also teach on-camera audition technique for our students in the second year. And if you're out there and you're concerned about getting into education with this format, I encourage you to do it, because this is the way of the future. It is the current way. And the more experience you have on camera, even if it is through your computer or your iPad, the more comfortable you will be on camera, and the more hireable you will be. With that being said, I'd like to turn it back to David, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Alex. Good luck this afternoon on the set.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That's his second job, working in TV. Okay, I just want to bring up about international students. If anybody here is like me, not originally from America, we have the F1 visa here at the Theatre of Arts. You get the I-20. The F1 visa covers you for 3 years. We're a 2-year conservatory. So what does that mean? That means that for 2 years you are covered, and then for the 3rd year, you can go and work as long as you are working within the industry. So that's why we're very passionate about people getting work within the industry for all our students, but for international, that's doubly true, that we will try and get you work as best we can, and you do your bit to try and get work within the industry. And about getting work, I'm now going to introduce the next faculty member to talk about comedy, which of course is me. I'm a stand-up comedian. I have been for many years. This year has been a little bit unusual, because normally at this time of year, when we're on a hiatus from school, I'm on tour. I've had 3 tours cancelled in 2020 so far, and I think the 4th one in December is also going to be cancelled. But we do continue to teach stand-up comedy, and I think we will be back. We've had great success with stand-up comedy here at Theatre of Arts, because it leads to work. I'm going to bring up a little sizzle reel of the kind of stuff that we do here with stand-up comedy. Thanks, Reese. A small piece. I don't know if you saw that. For me, it's in the corner of the screen, unfortunately. But you know, it's the times that we're living in. Oh, here we go. The idea is that everybody has to do stand-up comedy at Theatre of Arts in their final term. And the day you graduate, you get your certificate, and then we go to the Comedy Store in the evening, and everybody does a set on the Friday night show at the Comedy Store. And you don't know who else is going to be there. I mean, it's quite often I have students going, writing to agents to try and come to see them in something. At the Comedy Store, they just happen to have a table there. So that's what it's about. I remember one student saying to me, well, all I want to do is Judd Apatow films. And I thought, well, try telling that to somebody like an agent. And then we went to the Comedy Store, and then who is she sitting in the green room with? Judd Apatow, who was going, hey, I'm working on a joke and you're a comedian, let's help each other out. Here's the thing, stand-up comedy, can it be taught? Yes, it can. It's really about joke structure. Most people who would come to the theatre school, by the time they finish the conservatory, they know how to perform. That bit we're good with. So really what I'm about is trying to get you to understand joke structure, writing joke structure, and it leads to work. As any agent will tell you, when they see stand-up comedians, they're going to decide, is this comedian, can I make more money out of them as an actor or as a writer? And you want to do both. I personally, during this very strange time I've been approached to write comedy for people. I'm working on a movie right now starring John Cleese and Kelsey Grammer and Liz Hurley, and I am basically punching up jokes for them. And that's happened to me quite a lot in my career. I've actually written directed movies, but most people, when I get approached by my agents, they want a comedian. They want somebody who understands joke structure. And I go, well, tell them I've written films, and they go, they don't care about that. They want somebody who has actually done stand-up, because they trust you. They trust you to come out with the jokes. We had a student, I don't know if you can bring up Martha for me, Reese, if we've got that clip there. I think she was a good example of a student at Theatre of Arts who told me at the start of her final term, I don't want to do stand-up comedy.
She's fresh. It is Martha Najwa.
Everyone for David. My name is Martha. I moved here from Uganda about 6 years ago. Yeah, thank you. And a lot of people ask me, so what is it like to live in a third world country? Pasadena is not that bad.
I love that this is a girl that a few weeks before, when she started the course, said, there's no way I can do stand up in front of 150 people and tell jokes. A few weeks later, there she is, the first time she's doing it, and she gets a laugh within 10 seconds. A professional comedian gets a laugh every 20 seconds. So really that has to be very well structured out. And what I try and make sure is that every student, when they leave, they have at least a 6-minute set with laugh points every 20 seconds, which they can then tour around the clubs. And people have been doing exceptionally well. And then of course, casting directors notice them and they get acting work. I was just talking about a young guy called Jalen White, who graduated about 3 years ago, and his career has just gone through the roof. We also have a documentary about us coming out on Amazon from 8 weeks to 6 minutes, starring Antonio. And he was a student here at the Theatre of Arts studying comedy. We also have a monthly comedy show at the campus. The reason we do that, we make it free to students and we invite headline acts. And then I hold back 2 spots for alumni, and they have to go toe to toe with the national headliners. We've filmed 3 specials now. Samba Shoot, who some of you may have heard of, is on NBC's Sunnyside. He shot his special with us at Theatre of Arts. Sally Mullins shot her special, which you can now see on Amazon Prime. Bobby Oliver, you can see her special now on Amazon Prime. And then we have a comedian, which hopefully we've got, Richie Leese, who is a national headliner. Before we closed down, we had these monthly comedy shows. Here's an example of the kind of comedian that we have.
I was at lunch and I ordered a salad, and the waitress goes, "And what else?" I was like, "Excuse me? And what else? I can't can't just order a salad. I'm heavy dude. I can't just get a salad and that's that. She's like, I'm sorry, sir. I did not mean to offend you. Is there any way I could make this up to you? I was like, yes, onion rings.
Very simple. You could see the structure in that joke. You could see that you got 3 laughs within 20 seconds there. That's what we're looking for in comedians. And like I say, it's the final thing that we do here at the Theatre of Arts. And it's about in my perspective, it's about trying to get the students' work immediately. You've got the opportunity for motion capture, and you've got the opportunity from stand-up. That you will be out there, you can get a show any night of the week if you do stand-up, and you're in control of your own career that way. It's very difficult when you're writing up for a play or a TV show. You need someone to cast you. You need someone to like your headshot. If you do stand-up, there's always going to be a microphone and a stage somewhere that will need you. They need to fill that time. And there's nothing more important, I believe, than when you leave, than having actual stage time. I was asking an alumni years ago, before we did stand up, how much stage time, and she was one of the best actors we had. How much stage time have you had since we left? And she says, oh God, hardly any. And then since we've introduced stand-up comedy, I go, how much stage time have you had in the last year? And they go, well, I'm up 4 or 5 times a week. You will be out there. You will be out there. You will meet people, and people will see you. And if you're in Los Angeles, which is where we are, you never know, at any moment your life can change. Okay, I want to bring back the rest of the faculty now, and I also want to introduce you to a very special friend of ours who works at Campus Hollywood, Jose Hernandez, so that we can discuss financial aid and we can take in any questions that might be coming in. There he is, Jose, who is the head of admissions at Campus Hollywood. And if you have any questions about financial aid, or if Jose, if there's anything you want to say now to talk about that subject.
Yeah, I can easily go through a brief overview of financial aid and everything, kind of wrap up when it comes to international students and VA. Let's start with financial aid. So we are a Title IV funded school. So what that means is that anybody that qualifies for FAFSA, we can assist. Now, keep in mind that if FAFSA is something you've never done before, do not worry. We have our own financial aid officer that will actually walk with you every step of the way. Also, before you even start beginning the process, you actually meet one of the admissions representatives, which is Juan or Keith, and they normally start the process with you, trying to get to know you and see if this is going to be the right fit. And when they do, that's when pretty much everybody in the school tries to work with you to make this a possibility. For Title IV funding, we fill out the FAFSA. The government tells us what you may qualify for. First, they try to go with grants and see if any federal grants are available to you. Then we look into federal loans. Now, keep in mind about federal loans, they're a lot better than private loans. Reason being is because there's no payments while you're in school. Payments begin 6 months after you stop attending school, and the government gives you up to 10 years to pay that off. Now, keep in mind, the reason they do that is because, one, they understand that you use these funds for your education. Now, the difference between private loans and federal loans, private loans, they don't care. They're just going to want their money whenever they need to. Federal loans, because they know you used it for your education, not only do they help you out with your repayment plan, but when a situation like right now with COVID-19, they will work with your payments because they know that you use these funds for your education, and they will work with you with restructuring your payments. That was one of the first stimulus packages that came out, just like David mentioned. It helped schools because everybody was affected by, unfortunately, COVID-19, whether it was students that were attending college or, unfortunately, parents that were helping their students go to college, their children go to college, sorry. Everybody was affected. So that's part of the reason why the government wanted to help you out. Also, Theatre of Arts is one of those first schools that is actually giving back to the students. What I mean by that, we understand the pandemic that's going on right now. So instead of raising tuition, we're actually giving you guys a 10% discount if you start for the fall quarter. And just as David mentioned earlier, right now, this is the perfect time to go to school. Campus Hollywood is a form of nothing but programs that have to do with art and music. So this is the perfect time to go to school, master your craft. So by the time we're reopening, and hopefully, very soon, there's going to be a flood of interest of people wanting to go out and see comedy, see people acting. So this is one of the best times to actually go, despite what everything's going. That's part of the reason why Theater of Arts is giving 10% off of your tuition if you're able to start for the fall quarter. The other reason that Theater of Arts is giving back to you guys, there are scholarships available to students that have been fully accepted. What I mean by that, you've done all the requirements from admissions, you've done all the requirements for financial aid. So we look into merit scholarships or financial aid scholarships. Again, we do understand that everybody was affected through this, and that's part of the reason why Juan and Keith are normally getting to meet all the students, so that way we can see how we can help you guys go back to school, start your dream that you wanted to do. That's where financial aid will come in, and we'll work with you. And even if it doesn't cover everything, we try to work with you guys with a reasonable monthly payments. As long as you're reasonable with us, we will try to work with you. If your payments are $100 and you tell me you can only afford $5, not very reasonable. But as long as you say it's $100 and you say I can afford $50, $60, $80, that's something we can at least try to work with you. And this is part of the reason why the whole Theater of Arts is more like a family than a traditional college. If you saw all the reels that everybody was just presenting, you notice class sizes are small because you get that one-on-one attention from these instructors that you probably would not get at different schools, where some classes, I'll be honest with you, I was in a classroom of 300 students when I went to college, and even some of them, when it was supposed to be very hands-on, it was 30 to 50 students. Here, sometimes you get classes from as little as 4 to 10 students. So that's part of the reason why we really want to give you that hands-on experience. So when you apply to the school to get just information, we will work with you every step of the way, from getting accepted, doing financial aid, and getting you ready to start school.
Thank you, Jose. Yeah, perfect. If I can introduce Reese Cross now, who is our production manager here and who's been in mission control, keeping the whole thing together. There he is, Mr. TOA himself. Reese, do we have any questions that we need to answer?
Yeah, we do. We do have some questions. One of the questions, well, the first question is, do you help your students get agents?
Do we help? Yeah, well, we, in several ways we do that. We have industry prep in the final term. The final term really is about showcasing on many levels. We give you a demo reel. You have a voiceover reel. Alex teaches showcase. We reach out to agents. Stand up as well, bizarrely, is a good way of getting an agent. We will do our best. You've got to do your work as well. We can't guarantee that anyone gets an agent, but guess what? The recent graduating class, 100% of them got representation. So that was great. That was, so the agents, because we're in Hollywood, because we're in Los Angeles, you have a major opportunity.
Thank you. That's a good explanation. I hope out there on the TOA page, I hope they're getting these jewels that you're dropping. So next question, how much acting experience do you require for your applicants?
That's a good question. It varies.
The door's open to anyone too, if you guys want.
I think the doors are open, and what I have found is, like I have said, especially, I mean, I've had some students in the past from the military who've come into I want to try acting. I've always wanted to try acting. I've never had an opportunity, and sometimes you take a chance and you go, okay, well, let's see what you can do. And then they have, someone like Marcus Allen, never been done any acting before he came to the Theater of Arts. By the time he left 2 years later, he's one of the best actors that we'd had. He just got so much better. Sometimes there is an argument for those kids who have, that some of you have been doing acting since you're 4. Sometimes we have to break some of those bad habits. Sometimes we have to say, okay, I know you've been doing this a lot. Now we've got to try and get you out of that track. So I'm open to both. And sometimes it's great. I see people starting on one level and somebody stop here, and then you see this person just getting better and better, and then that person's got to catch up. you know. So the answer is we are open. All right. I am looking, when I'm auditioning here, I'm looking for people who are passionate about doing it and who can listen, who can take direction. When you audition for me to get into the school, I will usually give you a redirect. I am basically trying to see whether you are teachable.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and as a former, or as an alumni myself, I actually came from a sports background. Played professional ball, and then I got done with that, did some odd jobs, and I found my calling later in life. So it's never, to me, it's never too late. I mean, I came when I was 28. So
yeah, you find that across the board, and I know there's some very famous actors like Bill Nye, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, in England. He was a draftsman, and then in his early 40s, he decided to become an actor, and then he actually Bill Nye, he still is. This is what I was talking about. So, and then has done incredibly well.
Oh, awesome. All right. So next question. How does it work acting in scenes with other actors when you're using teleconferencing?
Maybe I should pass over that to Alex.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So actors are sent assignments through email to prepare at home. In some instances, actors are given equipment at home and are taught how to utilize that equipment to be able to record monologues and things like that, to be able to be sent over back to us to review. Other times, actors are asked to perform just like this, in this format right here, when they're interacting through Zoom. And then the work is immediately commented on by the instructors. So you are getting the same amount of attention you would get in an actual classroom, and you're actually getting more on-camera exposure than you would normally. And as David mentioned, each student that needs the equipment is sent the equipment by the school, and each student is meticulously taught how to utilize that equipment so that they can create the best work possible to be reviewed by the instructors.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
Awesome.
The actor I was talking about, by the way, was Alan Rickman. I just remember Alan Rickman was someone who came into the business very late.
Yeah, don't worry. Somebody commented and said you scared the heck out of him by saying Bill Nye.
No, Bill Nye. I wanted to just correct the record there. It was Alan Rickman. Bill Nye is fine. He's fine. Yeah.
All right. So we have a question from an Alexis. Actually, a two-part question. It looks like. So how can I work on motion capture, and what are the requirements to get hired from any film production in motion capture?
Henry.
Okay. So there's a couple things you can do in the video that you first saw. Reese, is it possible to pull that back up where they're walking the line and turns? Is that possible?
Give me 1 second. Yeah.
So before you bring it up, I'll just kind of explain it before they see it. It's for end game. So what you can do is take tape and put it down in your hallway, in your living room, wherever you can, just any kind of tape, just so you have a straight line. Then what you have to do is practice walking with weight. Now, here's the thing. If you're doing end game and you're doing these walks and these turns, you have to hit that mark the exact same way every time. But you can't look down and see if your feet are correct, because then the video of your performance shows the head looking down. That does nobody any good, especially if you're the person playing the game and you're supposed to be aiming straight forward with the weapon, and the head looks down, then the gun moves. And so that just screws everything up. So what you can do is pick a character. Let's just say you want to be a zombie. Practice walking with the zombie, and in your steps, as you're walking, walk with the same distance on your stride, the same rhythm, the same tempo, and the same weight on every step you do. And don't just do that forward. You see here, she's doing this sideways as a SWAT team member. And if you look closely on the ground, you'll see some tape there. So you do that sideways and backwards. It's called strafe left and strafe right, or walk forward and walk backwards. And then practice doing it with, if you got, I don't know, let's say a little prop in your house, a loaf of bread. Consider that loaf of bread as a weapon, and you're holding it. You can practice that. So when you turn, don't turn your head and then turn the weapon. The head and the weapon need to turn together in coordination. So little things like that you can practice. And then to really exercise the imagination, because you're going to have to do that once you get into a motion capture volume, which is the set and the space which we work in. Start coming up with creatures, and don't think as a human being. Think as if you're looking out of your ears and hearing out of your eyes. I know that sounds strange, but we have to change our point of view. We have to change our perspective when you're creating a creature. Creatures can't think like humans, or at least they're more interesting when they don't. So if I were to be walking straight, I would try to look out of my ears So imagine this is my eyeball, and already I've contorted my body by making one simple physical acting choice. That's for in-game. Now, what the second part of that question was, how do we get the job, or what is it?
Yeah, it's what are the requirements to get hired from any film production?
It's a really good question. It's asked often because motion capture is so new. It's not like a regular acting job. There are so few motion capture agents out there. The great thing about that, well, for me, is because I got in pretty much on the ground level. The entertainment world is small, the stunt world is smaller, and the motion capture world is even smaller. It's darn near a family. So once you're in and you show that you do good work, you're set. The studios know you. They don't want to take time all the time to bring in someone new and have to teach them to know. So it kind of is, if you know somebody in the industry, and if of course you come to TOA, you'll know me. And I've actually had students from TOA come into the volume with me. I've had them do work with me over the past 5 or 6 years. I think Keshav Abetz was an alumni from TOA. He was one of the first to be in there, and I brought in a couple of other students as well. Even when I was doing the job, I was allowed over at Disney, which is Jim Henson, now Disney owns Jim Henson. The students, the entire class got to come and watch us all day and meet my directors and meet my producers and meet the motion capture directors during that shoot. Once you get to know each other, that's how it works. It's not like in the motion capture industry, you can't just go knock on the door and drop off a resume. They hate that. They don't want that to happen. So basically, if you have this footage, I'm not gonna call it a reel, but if you have the motion capture footage and you say there's a job out there, Henry Layton trained me, that's pretty much the quickest way to get in. Another way to get motion capture work, and this comes from Roshni and Alex, they can tell you for sure, voiceover work. Even if you don't do the motion capture, you do the voiceover of that character, they're gonna go, well, we haven't hired the actor yet to do the motions. You have any training? So you take that voiceover gig and you turn it into a motion capture job.
Yeah, I should just say that we have voiceover is on the curriculum here as well, and you should leave with a voiceover reel.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Henry, for answering that.
Sure.
I'm over here doing mission control, so I'm doing like 8 things at one time. So if I'm not
doing great, Reese.
Please don't,
doing good.
Don't fault me for it. All right. Next question. What's your acceptance rate?
That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that. You've got to there's a few hoops you've got to jump through. The final hoop you've got to jump through is seeing me, actually, and that's where we do the audition, which is just there's 2 monologues, one comedy and one dramatic, and we will get you those monologues. So basically, a lot of it, the process is we have a lot of people applying. It's weeded out. There's many things you have to go through. It's pretty simple, but you'll be working with Warren or Keith. Like I said, go onto the website, toa.edu. You can apply right now because it's free. Someone will be in touch with you and they will work with you on how to get through it and see if it's right for you. Once it gets to me, I'm looking purely creatively to see whether I feel like we can work with you and train you to be an actor. So I don't have the statistics of what the acceptance rate is. I know that we get hundreds and hundreds of people showing interest and applying, and I get to see, by the time it gets to me, things have happened on the way, and then I just see, I see the top of the pyramid, basically.
All right, cool. All right, next question. If someone starts on the online program from another state, will it be required to move to Los Angeles when the school reopens, or can I stay remote?
No, I think that's a very, very good point. Here's the thing. If you're living in another state, we have people at this moment in time, because we've been online for a semester, who are in Connecticut. We've got somebody in New York starting. We had somebody in Florida. We have somebody in Chicago. And we're making it possible because we're online. Once it gets to being in person, we don't know when that is. If I was guessing, I would have thought that would be the January term. I'm talking to the CDC all the time. I'm talking to medical experts, and they're saying that that's when they think that we're going to be in a much better position than we are now to open up the school safely. You'd want to be here. You want to be in Hollywood. It's a very good reason to be in Hollywood. It's the geography of the place. We're connected to the industry. Right now, you can be anywhere in the world. You can be anywhere as long as you click on the Zoom link to get into the class. We're happy. But when it comes to being an in-person school again, I think we're probably not going to be able to do that in 2020. I think you want to be here, which probably brings up the question about housing. We do have housing here. Campus Hollywood as well. We have a support system. There are people that can help you find housing here. We have students. We're part of a much bigger campus, so we send out emails like every so often. There we go, housing assistance. Yeah. There's a guide there how to get cheaper housing in Los Angeles, how to have roommates from other people in the campus. We have some people who are sharing houses in here with somebody who's a musician from the Musicians Institute. And I often advise students, when you go to your second or third term, just get a big house together. That's what someone did like 2 or 3 years ago. They had this massive house and all of them were living in it together. But we will help you. We will find a way. We have a support system. We have counselors who are here specifically for this reason, to help you out. And any problems you have like that, we do have a support system.
Okay, awesome. David, that's all the questions I have. So
that's all the questions. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you have any more questions, please go to the website, toa.edu. Someone will get back to you. You can also go to our Facebook, Theatre of Arts Facebook site, and follow us on Instagram, Theatre of Arts, TOA. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Right. Thanks, everybody. Like I said, visit toa.edu, and we'll see you next time. Get to enrolling.